Here's a question. Did you notice that Biden is suddenly back in the White House? Kamala Harris as well? Well, everybody's like, what is this about? What is this about? I mean, it's kind of sketchy given that Mayorkas just went on CBS News and said, if we have a shutdown, we have to shut down our Office of Countering of Weapons of Mass Destruction. Oh, and then all of a sudden, Biden and Harris fly back into town. They're canceling their Christmas plans. It all comes as a new story reveals just exactly how bad Biden has been and for how long. This was courtesy of the Wall Street Journal. The Wall Street Journal talked to 50 different sources who explained how shut off, how walled off Biden is because he's so incapacitated. In other words, his mental decline has become so severe that nobody wants him to see this. So he didn't even meet, say, with Janet Yellen, his Treasury Secretary. He wasn't meeting with any of the people that he should be meeting with. Everything was going through intermediaries. Nobody wanted anybody to see just how bad he was. And remember when and other broadcasters, streamers were like, hey, he's not doing so well. And I always showed you the whole clip. I didn't try and edit it special. It was worth seeing in its entirety. I remember saying to one of my producers when we were cutting some of the shorts and he tried to clean it up. I'm like, no. And he's like, you really want that long pause in there? And I'm like, yeah, because you know what? That's the point. We can't clean things up like CBS News does on 60 Minutes with Kamala Harris. Remember what they did, right? They actually tried to make her make sense by just slicing and dicing her interview and forming sentences for her. No. We need the public to see just how bad it is. But somehow it was a giant conspiracy theory to say that Biden was incapacitated, that Biden was suffering from mental decline. I could show you some of those clips. I mean, Jake Tapper went nutso on Lara Trump when she said that he was really struggling. And Jake was like, how dare you, how dare you, how dare you? Well, he was struggling. And now it's come out as fact. He's really struggling. So is that why he's not saying anything? He came back and here we are just hours ahead of a shutdown. KJP got grilled at the White House today in an abridged, shortened press conference. People want to know, why isn't he talking?
Last question, Corinne, and I know you have tried to answer it several times, but shouldn't Americans hear from the President of the United States just hours from a shutdown?
What Americans need to know is that you have Republicans in Congress, in the House, who got in a way, who stopped a bipartisan agreement. They got in the way. They created this mess. And I said this earlier when I said, and you all know this, or you report this, it is not easy to get to a bipartisan agreement here in this town. And there was one. Both sides sat down. They came to an agreement, which is a good thing for the American people. We thought we were moving in that direction. And Republicans decided to instead listen and give space to their billionaire friends and not put the American people first. That's what is happening. That's what we're seeing.
Ooh, I'm glad we cleared that up, Corinne. That's not what's happening. What's happening is what happens over and over and over again, where you have bureaucrat politicians just letting the lobbyists do all the writing for them. They don't care. They just pass things. And there's something in there, right, for everyone, okay? Your community gets this, that, and the other. But who winds up losing out? The American people. Anyway, Biden's not doing anything. He's not saying anything. So once again, you get this information vacuum. They all come back and people are like, wait a second. Are you there because of some missile strikes on Kiev? Are you there? They're citing these foreign media sources. Are you there because of the shutdown? Why are you there? Are you there because of the drones that we keep hearing about? Biden wants you to know, nothing to worry about with those drones. He's really inspiring confidence here.
Those drones over New Jersey. What's behind all of that? Nothing nefarious, apparently. But they're checking it all out. I think it's just one. There's a lot of drones authorized up there. I think one started and they all got it. Everybody's wanting to get in the deal.
So apparently it's just copycats. And by the way, it's all in your head, right? That's basically what he's saying. You know, there's all these drones up in the sky. It's nothing nefarious. And because people are talking about it now, you're seeing things. You think you're seeing drones, but you're probably not seeing drones. And Donald Trump's like, I'm going to avoid Bedminster, New Jersey this weekend because I hear the drones are right there.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Can you comment on the drones that are flying around New Jersey ports? It seems like the American people have a big disconnect.
The government knows what is happening. Look, our military knows where they took off from. If it's a garage, they can go right into that garage. They know where it came from and where it went. And for some reason, they don't want to comment. And I think they'd be better off saying what it is. Our military knows and our president knows. And for some reason, they want to keep people in suspense. I can't imagine it's the enemy, because if it was the enemy, they'd blast it out. Even if they were late, they'd blast it. Something strange is going on. For some reason, they don't want to tell the people. And they should, because the people are really, I mean, they happen to be over Bedminster. Want to know the truth? They're very close to Bedminster. I think maybe I won't spend the weekend in Bedminster. I've decided to cancel my trip.
Have you received an intelligence briefing on the drones?
I don't want to comment on that.
Have you been
do you have any reason to think they're a threat?
I'm going to jump in right now. We've got some breaking news just crossing at this moment. The House has approved a 3-month government funding bill, sending it to the Senate, which is hours left before the shutdown deadline. So again, the House has just passed that spending bill. It's considered a rather important monumental step towards averting a government shutdown. It's happening just hours, of course, ahead of the midnight deadline tonight. The House voting to extend government funding for 3 months. Again, hours before this shutdown, the new legislation would keep the government open, but it would not include the debt ceiling increase that President Trump had asked for. It now goes to the Senate. So this is looking as though it passed 366 to 34. The only lawmakers voting to oppose this bill were the 34 Republicans. So we shall see. We shall see where this goes. I think no matter what, it's really critical. It's really, really critical. If they've got 3 months, we gotta like hold them accountable, right? I mean, that's the bottom line here. It's so important right now. Again, we'll get more information and we'll bring more to you, but a lot of change is going to be happening. I would say this, like, you consider the Wall Street Journal article, you consider how much he was declining, and the fact that they prevented the media from talking about that. That was no-go territory. You were conspiracy theorists if you dared to suggest it, if you dared to say it. And I got a kick out of Jesse over on Fox because he said he wouldn't be surprised. He wouldn't be surprised if we learned that, oh gosh, what if Donald Trump actually won in 2020? And there really were shenanigans that went on. This is an interesting, by the way, you can talk about this now. You used to not be able to talk about it, but they've changed the rules. So you can talk about this now. Interesting timing, especially given what I'm going to tell you next about the Pennsylvania voters. But first, let's watch Jesse. He's funny.
The 50 sources say they noticed in the first few months that he couldn't handle things. But do you remember they're using COVID as an excuse for him not to campaign, not to get out there, and to have the basement campaign where, remember, cars, they would beep if they supported Joe Biden? There were 8 of them.
Yeah, so they kept the COVID structure throughout the rest of the presidency. And he was treated like an aging dictator, an aging king. You know, the same things they said about Trump were true of him. He was isolated. He was out of touch. He was mentally unfit. People were keeping things from him. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't give him bad polling. They wouldn't give him bad headlines. He was AWOL during the lead up to Afghanistan. People were trying to get him on the phone at key moments.
Yeah.
There's no way to get a hold of the guy. And he delegated his presidential powers to his staff, Judge. So when people ask, well, who's really the president? It was his staff. His staff were executing the duties of the president. And I think it was April 2021, right out of the gate, they were canceling meetings because he was having a bad day. So all this conspiracy theory about, Joe Biden shot, he's a puppet, it was true. I mean, at this point, we're going to find out he stole the election from Trump. At this point, the way things are going.
Jesse?
I'm just saying, the way things are going, I wouldn't be surprised if we found that.
The amazing...
Like, oh my gosh, he said it.